Welcome to the LUMR podcast, that is London Underground Music Review. We are now audible and visual. Thanks for tuning in. This week on the pod, we have the band Soft Girls and Boys Club from Nottingham. They make spirited psych rock music and have recently put out their debut full-length album, Jeefy Hymns, in October. Thanks for being on, you guys. How you doing?
Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm. You want to introduce yourselves and your band and everything?
I'm Ben. I play guitar and sing and do a lot of the writing with Tommy, who's going to introduce himself now.
And I'm Tommy. I also co-write with lovely Benjamin Webster and play guitar and I dabble in singing, I'd like to say. Dabble.
Cool. Who else do you guys have in the band? There's Luke, Sam,
and Louis.
Who are they? What do they do?
So, Ben, you go.
So Luke is on bass. Sam is on keys and synthesizers, and his brother Louis is on drums.
All right, so we'll just start off with some questions here. This is your first debut full-length album, but you have had other releases. There was the Same Old Things EP from 2018 and the Welcome to the Soft Girls and Boys Club from 2019. How was making this one different, other than it being like 3 times the length as the other one?
Yeah. It was interesting. It was sort of like it sort of basically spans the whole time we've been a band, the album, really, as far as like it's our newest stuff and our oldest stuff. So like the sort of oldest stuff is kind of demos that were never really finished, that we always thought we'd come back to someday, and songs like Drake and Big Moon and tunes like that have been around for a few years, but never kind of fully formed. So like doing an album for us was sort of made. We kind of decided we were going to do that because of obviously now Ben's being in Copenhagen. We sort of knew it was going to come to not necessarily an end, but an end for like gigging and being as active as we are as a band. So that's why it's such a big album, and sort of it all just came together. Mainly we basically record most of it ourselves, aside from like drums, which we need a bit of help for. Everything's more or less, kind of recorded in a tiny room. So
wow. So it's like
DIY.
Yeah. So it's like old songs and then new songs too. I didn't know that. Were there any songs you guys made that like didn't make it on the album?
I think we've got loads of sort of part finished and sort of part written songs or songs that were just kind of more of a mess about, or just as we were running with an idea one day and it didn't ever really come to fruition. But like Tom said, some of the songs are some of the very first songs we ever wrote, but we didn't really get them down recorded or to any sort of decent level like we would have liked to. And some of the songs were sort of brand new, like we probably wrote within the last 6 months or so. So yeah, it is sort of, like Tom said, spanning the whole of our sort of 5 years or so as a band.
Yeah. And you said you've moved to Copenhagen?
Yeah.
Like permanently, or just why are you there?
Yeah, no. So I planned on moving at some point. My girlfriend's Danish and she's from Copenhagen, so I did plan on doing it at some point, but with the whole sort of Brexit situation over in England, it sort of sped up the process a little more than I would have liked, because it would have been a lot harder for me to sort of get over there and get accepted into the country without the freedom of movement. So that kind of sped things up a lot more than probably I would have liked. But it's a bit of a shame with this year, the way it's sort of gone with Corona and everything, that we've not really done much in terms of gigging and stuff like that for our sort of last year altogether. So it's a little bit sad and it's a little bit upsetting, but I love it over here. I'm happy I moved. I'm just missing my boys a bit.
Yeah, it's bittersweet.
I miss you too, man.
Have you guys given any more thought to being like an online band, like kind of still doing stuff from different places?
Yeah, I think it's not something that we've ruled out. And again, like we were saying, it's not necessarily, the absolute end. We'd love to, maybe when everything calms down a little bit, Ben could pop over for a few weeks and we maybe get a few kind of UK shows in, and obviously play Nottingham, sort of our hometown. We, do a headline show sort of for the album. I think it's definitely on the cards, but it's just when that can happen. And,
Right.
but I think we're still, me and Ben are both writing stuff, but it's not necessarily for the Soft Boys. Ben's got a sort of a doom metal project that he's working on at the minute.
Oh,
which
really?
I'm very excited to hear.
That's awesome.
And I'm just doing bits and bobs myself. So, but yeah, I think it'd be nice to sort of maybe get some time, some point next year, where we can just like have a week where we, meet up and we can like just focus on writing and hanging out.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
How do your songs typically come together? Like, you guys do majority of the writing. What's the rest of the process like? I
think me and Tom are always, in terms of writing the music aspect of it, both of us are always writing stuff. So it'll be a case of showing each other, oh, I've got this, and just sort of, there's been songs where we've sort of fused together two of our own songs and made the finished product. And again, both me and Tom, we both have notes apps on our phone just full of potential lyrics and stuff like that. So it seems to come together quite naturally. It'll be a case of sitting down and just seeing what will fit for the song and what will fit for the music. So it all happens quite organically.
I always think Ben's very good at sort of having a song in his head as well, and like just with a like sort of guitar and singing, and will have a tune sort of mapped out in his head. Whereas I'm not very good at that. I sort of have to be at a computer and sort of build it up like that. So it's quite a good like mash, because Ben will like pitch the song and be like, okay, I can sort of hear where it's going, and then we'll start with like a sort of drum track, and then we'll kind of just build it from there. So it's and most of the time, like I found anyway, that like songs kind of, they come together pretty quickly. We get to a point where Ben's idea is really strong and stuff. It sort of almost does itself. It's quite like effortless with some of the tunes, which is really nice. And I think some of our best songs are kind of the ones that like me or Ben have wrote or written together sort of really quickly.
Happen in a couple of hour period, won't it?
Yeah.
Down and
if the juices are flowing.
Do you remember what some of the ones off this album? I know it's hard to pick a favorite of your own songs, but do you have any that are kind of special?
I think I personally really like Stupid Cupid. I'm quite happy with how that came out. I quite like Mindless Kindness, although Tom's not
least favorite.
And I'm really proud of Yoga for the Dead as well. I think, although the lyrics might not make that much sense to everyone else, it sort of makes sense to me, and I'm just kind of happy with how that came out, I think.
Yeah, I think for me, probably, I think Big Moon has always got a soft spot, because like I said, that was written a few years ago, and I remember that the demo was really sketchy, but like I think we kind of knew we had a catchy song, or a song that I really liked, just because it was a really sketchy demo, but you can kind of hear the potential of it. I think that was one for me, and also Loving You Is All I Want to Do. I just really like how that came out, because that literally started as it was going to be. We had a voice memo of it, that it was like a really early tune that Ben wrote, just him on an acoustic. We recorded a voice memo, and that was going to be the version of the album, this kind of really like raw, almost sketchy moment. And like it was quite last minute, we decided to sort of just like redo a version of it, and I think I'm really glad we did, because I think it's kind of done that song justice, and it's a nice like little palate cleanser sort of at the end of the album. So that's, I really grown to love that song. I think it's a really nice little tune.
Like an after dinner mint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Exactly.
Do you guys remember what individually got you into music in the first place?
I think I've always been into music, but I think I actually started playing instruments quite a bit later, I think, in my life compared to a lot of my friends and stuff. And I think it was because of my friend. I had a lot of friends that were sort of musicians and were gigging a lot, and I always used to watch them and just think, oh, that looks like so much fun. I don't know why I've never played an instrument myself. So I started playing bass at like age, I think I was 16. I'm 28 now, I think. And yeah, it was just around then, and then gradually I moved to guitar and just started writing a bit, and that's when I wrote Tommy in to sort of record me, and then it just sort of went from there, I think. I don't know, what about you, Tommy?
I was I think I got into like drums with my first instrument. I think I started playing when I was 10, and I just like loved it. And it's one of them things when I think about it, like I can't really remember a time where I sort of said I was gonna do music. It was just like the only thing that I like kind of, got a kick out of and really enjoyed. And it sort of, to me, often makes other things just seem really kind of mundane, and not that they are, but like to me it's just hard to find like something that you want to do, that you enjoy. So yeah, it's just sort of, and then like I said, when I sort of met Ben a few years ago and we started doing this, that was my first real experience of like actually being in a band, and like recording. And at the time I was sort of just getting into like music production, like just started college kind of thing. And so it was like the whole time it's been a learning curve for me, I guess. But it was just great to like have that opportunity where like, Ben was just writing all these songs at first, and it was just like, oh, okay, I was going to go over and like record it and see what we can do with it, sort of thing. So it was just like, it's just really fun. And it kind of just snowballed into what it was.
Yeah. Do you remember what any of like the first albums you bought or first live performances you saw?
Ooh. I think the first album I bought, crikey, I think it would have been either late 19s or early 2000s. I think it was early 2000s, and I think it was The Offspring, Conspiracy of One. I think it was that album.
Nice.
Because obviously I'd heard Pretty Fly for a White Guy on MTV2 or whatever, and just been like, yeah, these guys rock. So I think
still do.
Well, yeah, they still do. Yeah, I think that was the first album I bought.
I'm pretty sure that was the first album of the last person I interviewed, or the one before, two interviews ago. The bassist of Golfer from Montreal. That was his first album that he bought too. He bought it on.
Nice.
He said he bought it on cassette. Is that
Oh,
right?
wow.
Wow,
I had CD. So that was a little bit better.
I did have It Wasn't Me by Shaggy on cassette. That was and that was like the only cassette in my mum's like car growing up. But like, I was like a really early memory of having music, and I was like right at the end of sort of cassettes, and well, the CDs have probably been around for like 10 years at that point, but don't know why. I think for me, I think it might have been like
Got to be Blink.
It was, yeah, great. It was, I remember Blink had just broken up when I was really young, and I remember hearing What's My Age Again, and the Greatest Hits album was coming out, and it had, obviously it's their best album because it's the Greatest Hits. And I remember like loving What's My Age Again when I was like 7 or whatever. So that was probably I remember getting that for Christmas as well. So that was, yeah, Greatest Hits album was one of the first albums I remember like getting and absolutely rinsing. So
nice. Do you guys have any musical role models, either for the way that you play individually or the way that you want Soft Girls and Boys Club to sound as a whole?
I think when it comes to the band stuff, I think I always say that each song will just sound like whoever we were listening to on the day, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? I think in terms of like my musical hero, although it's the most cliche thing in the world, my musical hero is Paul McCartney, and I just love the Beatles and Wings and Paul McCartney's solo stuff. So I think when I'm writing in terms of like rhythm and melody and stuff, that sort of comes into it a lot. I don't know if that's that obvious when you listen to the songs, but that's definitely right at the top of the list for me. I don't know, Tommy, what would you say for like the band stuff? Like, is there anything?
Well, yeah, that's the sort of mishmash, I guess, of it. Because I mean, I guess the sort of obvious comparisons that we've told in that we're obviously huge fans of, the Beatles being one of them, and but like Tame Impala are obviously a big influence on us, and like certain tracks like Nihilism but Sexy off the album, like that's a very sort of heavily influenced from Tame Impala, sort of early kind of stuff that we're kind of going for on that. But yeah, it can be just like I say, because some of the songs just come about in like a Frankenstein kind of way, where like Ben will have like half a song and then I'll be like, oh, I've got these chords that kind of fit. So it could be like, a blend of all of our tastes into one. And I think that's what we've always sort of, like Ben was saying, it can be like, we can just be obsessed with like a song or an artist, and we're like, oh, I really want to write a song like in this kind of style, or so it's whatever like mood we're in or what we're listening to at the time, I guess, without trying to really obviously rip people off. But it's just like being influenced by, everyone listens to all different kinds of genres nowadays. It's not just like I listen to rock and I listen to jazz or whatever. You got all these things coming in, so it's a nice mix, I think.
Do you guys have a favorite place that you have played a live performance so far?
For us, because we were sort of mainly Nottingham based, we played the Bodega a lot, which is sort of a bit of a social hub in Nottingham. It's quite like everyone who's in a band seems to have played there at some point. But I think the big one for us was Rock City in Nottingham, because that's sort of the bigger venue that you get a lot of the touring bands come through and play. So like when we finally sort of got on that stage, we felt like, yeah, we're doing all right now, sort of thing. It was like, yeah, this is good. And we had sort of a packed out room, and it just, I think for me that felt the best. Yeah,
I'd agree. And we did, as well as that, those two shows that Ben mentioned, but we did 2 shows in France. When was it? Was it 2018? Yeah, it would have been, wouldn't it? Did 2 shows in a place called Clermont-Ferrand, which we'd like never heard of, but it was just like this like beautiful, almost like a town, like surrounded by mountains, just sort of, what you'd expect kind of thing. So we did a show there, which was incredible, and we had like such a good time. Everyone was like, really loving it. And then we did a show in Paris on the way back as well. And both shows we were like really surprised about, because there were like a decent amount of people at both shows of a band I've never seen. But I think like just being a sort of, British band or whatever, you sort of have that little bit of a leg up, because it's like, oh, well, if they're playing in France and they've come all the way from, England or whatever, then maybe they're actually good. We're not very good. But yeah, so that was incredible. And I think we all had like, we were only on for like 3 days, but it felt like closest thing we've ever had to like a European tour sort of thing. 2 shows in France, but
yeah,
that was good fun.
Cool. Any like crazy or weird things happened to you at one of your shows yet?
Bodega show, we had so we got like towards the end, and we were sort of like, oh, let's get some people on stage. So I said, like, let's, invited people up, and about like 20 people, just, it's a really, really small stage. Like, you can barely fit us 5 on when we're playing. And they just like invaded the stage. And there's pictures online you can probably see. And I think that music video on YouTube for Sex Music, there's some shots at the end of the stage invasion. I don't think the venue were particularly happy about it, but that was a pretty cool moment. And I like lifted Ben in the air, and he was kind of playing guitar. It was like it was just
awesome.
ridiculous.
Yeah, that was pretty. pretty
Any
ridiculous.
more? Are there any more crazy things?
I think maybe the gig we did in the really, really early days, we played in this pub that had a chip shop on the side of it. So we played in a chip shop, and there was, I think it was an empty room essentially. There was nobody in there. I think maybe our girlfriends or whatever were in there, but it was more or less empty. So that was pretty surreal.
Yeah, that was not a good one.
That's funny though. What about favorite memory as a band so far, just in general?
I think I mean I really enjoyed. I think when I was living in Nottingham, we were quite lucky because me and Tom were living in the same building. We weren't living together, but we were in the same building, and I really enjoyed that couple of months because we didn't have anywhere else to go, so we did end up writing and sort of recording and finishing up the album quite a bit there. So that was quite a nice few months. And I think as well, like Tom said earlier about the gigs in France, that just the whole, jumping in a little van and driving down the motorway with your pals, that was quite fun.
You drove to France?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It only took about a day.
Yeah, it was surprising. Luckily, my brother, who had lived abroad for years, he'd kind of come back like a few weeks before, and I was like, oh, it'd be amazing if you could drive, because I think it was only you, Ben, and Luke that could actually legally drive, wasn't it? It had to be over 25. So to kind of take the pressure of that off Luke and Ben, we were like, oh, if we get Matt to kind of come along and he can be like merch guy and just be the driver. So he did, and he kind of like saved our ass a bit because he did sort of the bulk of the driving, really.
So fun.
It's good fun.
Nice. All right. So here's some just more random. These are from Ask Reddit, just random questions.
Nice.
Just to break things up a bit, What is the absolute worst movie that you've ever seen that you can think of?
Oh,
Oh wow.
I want to say Sharknado, but I've never seen them. And the fact that they made 5 or 6 of them, I'm
That's
probably
an
in the wrong.
iconically bad one.
They're probably amazing because they've made so many.
No, they're so bad.
Yeah, I bet. I did watch all the trailers for them actually the other day, and you don't even need to watch the films.
Yeah,
you can just watch the trailers.
Yeah,
the trailer is the movie. That's perfect.
It's like the start of Tropic Thunder or something. There's always like joke movie trailers or whatever. Who left the fridge open?
Mine is Kung Fury. If you guys ever heard of that one?
Yeah,
Fury.
Great. But that's like
that's the sort of is that the
bearable, isn't it? It's
It's meant to be. It was like Tropic Thunder, where it's like made to be bad and fun.
Yeah.
I remember they have I just found it so hilarious in that, and they had these like his cop partner was called Triceracop, and it was just like he just had a like Triceratops. It was like, well done, Kung Fury, and had this like really like ridiculous British accent or whatever. It's just bizarre.
So bizarre.
Yeah. I don't know what the worst movie is that's not deliberately set out to like fail kind of worst movie. That's what I'm trying to think of. I remember hating the Deer Hunter when I saw that first time around. Not that, but that's a classic, so I'm going to upset a lot of people. But I remember thinking, God, this is dragging on quite a bit. Yeah, well, it was like, I'm sure if I watched it again, I'd have a new appreciation. But when you're like 10, you don't want to watch a 3-hour De Niro film. That's purgatory.
Okay, what about if you could if 2020 was an alcoholic drink, what would it be?
Frosty Jacks.
No, I think it would be for me it would be like the free warm beer you get at gigs. It's for like playing like just the standard like crap lager, but it's always like room temperature or warmer.
Just say Red Stripe, Ben. Just say Red Stripe, mate.
It'd be Red Stripe. I think that would be it for me. It's just it's just been disappointing and just didn't do anything for me.
And lukewarm just the whole year.
Yeah.
What's one of the stupidest things you've ever done that you can remember?
Getting in the boot of Joel's car, probably.
Yeah, tell that story. That is that's a pretty funny one.
So we were back home in the Midlands, and we were going to a party just outside of the town where we live, and there wasn't enough space in the two cars that we were driving in, so I jumped in the boot of one car. It was only like a 10-minute ride or whatever, so we didn't think anything of it. And on the way there, the guy that was driving the car that I was in was driving like a bit of a cock, and he sort of long story short, he ended up crashing into a river, and sort of the car was sort of sinking. It wasn't that deep that it was sort of, right underwater, but a good portion, most of the car was under the water, and Tommy was in the car behind, and he immediately, after seeing what happened, jumped out the car, jumped in the river, and opened the boot to let me out. And we're both still here to this day.
All right.
And we ended up going to the party straight after as well. Yeah, so it ended up turned out to be an all right night, as horrible as it was.
Yeah, it's a bad start.
Yeah.
That's good.
Literally around the corner as well.
Is there something that you're known for in your friend group? Like something that you always do?
I don't know anymore. I've quit drinking. I don't really drink at all anymore. But back in the day, I used to live on my own in a flat in our hometown, and quite often I'd fall asleep on the toilet, sort of most nights where we were sort of drinking a lot. So I sort of semi became known for that, just sort of falling asleep with like my trousers down on the toilet like that. So I think maybe that, but I don't know now. I think I'm probably just known for being boring.
Sleepy Ben.
Yeah,
that's what he's known for. He's known for basically being able to sleep in any kind of position anywhere. And we actually have a song coming out, or a group of songs, and one of them will tell you all about that in a few weeks. So
perfect. I can't wait. That's hilarious. That's only the second time I've asked that question, and the last time I asked it, I got the same exact answer from somebody else. Was that she could fall asleep in any position, anywhere, just like upside down in a van, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
It's a skill. It's a real skill.
It is, honestly. I want that skill. Do you guys have any? So back to regular questions. Main hobby outside of making music, like a not music related hobby?
Thinking about making music. No.
I'm a big football fan, so for me it's watching football, or soccer for the American audience. But so yeah, I spend a lot of my time when I'm not doing anything music related, watching football. I love it. I support Leicester. Yeah, I love it. I'm a big Leicester fan.
I literally can't. I'm trying to think of stuff. Okay. But I don't really, not necessarily like doing music all the time, but because I like doing I like the production side of things, whether it's doing music or just like making sounds kind of thing. I just like basically do that in my free time. If I'm not doing that, I'm either watching TV, asleep, or pooping.
Just say Zelda, Tom. Just say Zelda.
I love Zelda, all right.
Yeah.
Zelda and Resident Evil. They're my kryptonite games, and I'll find myself on them a lot.
What about a skill that you would like to acquire at some point that you don't have already?
I want to get better at playing piano. And I've been saying that for like years now, and never got any better at doing it.
So many people have said that. I've been told that by so many people. They're like, it's great for composing.
I think it's like all musicians that play sort of guitar, they always say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to learn piano," They never do. But but yeah, I think that's what I want to. I want to be able to actually sit and properly just bang out a tune. I can do little chords, but I want to be able to actually, play the piano.
Yeah, I'm literally the same as that. I think I'd love to be able to play piano or like just keys in general, just more sort of, without sort of doing one chord at a time. And so you can kind of make songs by not really doing it. And but yeah, it can be a bit tedious. So it'd be nice to actually be able to write something. But, I actually played that instead of I just put these chords in a sort of sequence and that's it. Not that that's bad, but like it'd just be nice to be able to play. So
to compose on a piano, like in general, because if you get like a keyboard, you can do the different sound effects, do some brass, some strings.
Yeah,
DJs.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, it's just also like it's just a nice. It's good that it's an instrument that like anyone could play, but like obviously to play well is another thing. But it's just pressing keys, but there's obviously way more to it than that. Whereas sometimes I've seen people try and play guitar and they can't get their hands around it, and while they're struggling to like press the chord, and it hurts. Yeah. It hurts for me when I play. Like, I can't play for like too long without getting wrist ache. So, but like it's a very accessible instrument, but it's also quite an intimidating one as well because it's like there's so much you can do with it, sort of thing. Yeah. But that's why it's great, I guess. So.
Limitless.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever dealt with anxiety or stage fright at all?
I think I weirdly never really get it, and that's particularly weird for me because every other aspect of my life, I'm completely filled with dread and anxiety, and like just wake up every morning absolutely full of dread. But I seem to have absolutely no problem with just getting on stage and playing in front of people. I don't know whether it's like the familiarity of it because it's just us five and it's we're just doing what we do. But I weirdly never ever really get it, and I don't know why. I can't understand it.
Yeah, I do for not all gigs, but like a lot of gigs. But what's weird with me, I always find that I'm less nervous on, for example, like the Bodega show that we did, like our headline that we sort of basically sold out. Like it was, just a room filled full of, majority of people we knew and like friends and family and stuff, which is, I would have thought I was like going to be incredibly nervous, but I was just so excited to do it and just like really thrilled. It's like, oh, you're just playing music to a load of people with like your best mates kind of thing, so what is there to be nervous about? And I think I usually find that beer will probably take the edge off, but yeah, it can be weird. It can be like sometimes like a gig that's not even it could be a few people there, but it's like I always find London gigs quite nerve-wracking for some reason. I'm not sure if it's like traveling to London and it's like there's almost like an expectation, or there's
it feels
it's
more
like it's like the sort of city, I guess. And so when you go play there, it does feel a bit more like under pressure. And also a lot of the venues that I've played in London, I've not played that many, but a few of them that I've played, I've not been like particularly chuffed with like the sound in general kind of on stage. I think that often determines like how well you can play as well. If you can't hear yourself, sometimes it just throws you a bit. So I think there's always that, but most of the times, like as soon as you get on stage, it's like it seems to go and it's just like fun from the get-go. But yeah, it's like 10 minutes before the kind of the worst times, I think.
The anticipation.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any quotes or piece of advice that you've been given over the years that you would like to spread the wisdom?
It's a bit of a weird one for us because we didn't really like playing as a band. It's sort of like we're saying, it just kind of like fell into it sort of thing. We never like, let's start a band and let's like, this is what we want to do and we want to be, try and sort of do this. We've always just done it because we loved it, and if people liked it, that was like a plus.
That's a good.
So that's probably good advice.
Right there, if you're happy with what you're doing.
Yeah, don't really.
I think basically just don't do it. Don't expect anything. I think basically is I think the best piece of advice you could ever really give someone regarding music, because it's you just need, as long as you enjoy it, like I think that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
anything
that
else,
and
bonus.
don't be an arsehole.
Yeah,
Like,
don't be
that's
an
probably
arsehole.
good. Yeah, just be
That's a good
nice
one too. Yeah.
to people.
So you guys released Jeefy Hymns mid-October. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeefy Hymns. Okay. What does that mean? Is there a meaning?
You-
I didn't know what it meant. It's okay
around-
if there's not.
no, it does mean something. It's kind of nonsensical, but around the time when we were first writing music, well, and sort of all the way through, we smoked quite a lot of pot, so it's kind of Jeefy is
Okay.
kind of,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a made up word that we have that's just kind of like a play on Jeefer or Reefer or whatever, and it's just
Got
kind
it.
of just
Okay.
kind of like, you know, weedy songs sort of.
Yeah, they were sort of all made in a very smoke-filled room, so it kind of felt appropriate as well as being a mixture of like the oldest and newest stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
and also we actually did release an album called Jeefy Hymns, or album. It's like a sort of SoundCloud mixtape which had some had quite a few of tunes we put out now, like Sex Music and like Same Old Thing, and there's be a few more sort of really old ones that we've redone for the deluxe version, which is coming out on the 20th of November, I think. This month there'll be the B-sides and I think 3 more sort of old extra ones. So yeah, it kind of felt like things were coming to an end per se. So it was like everything had gone full circle. So it sort of felt really appropriate. And also Ben had so many good names, or just so many ideas for names, that it was just so hard to choose it in. So that was the sort of agreement one. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for doing this. It was really fun.
No, thank you for having us.
Yeah, wicked. Cheers for having us.
Bye.
Bye.